guys, the topic today is why aerobic metabolism is much more efficient than anaerobic metabolism. As you guys might already know, improving aerobic metabolism is one of the most important things for distance runners. Most of your performance as distance runners depends on how good aerobic metabolism you have. So basically, training for getting faster, running faster, equals training is for improving aerobic metabolism. Otherwise, you cannot run faster. And I don't know in your country, but in Japan, about 10 years ago or 20 years ago, very often people say aerobic running is very effective. On the other hand, anaerobic running is useless. It's a little bit exaggerating. I mean, I will not say anaerobic running is not necessary or worthless or meaningless or something like that. Anaerobic training is also important training for distance runners, especially you want to reach at the top level. But the truth is, about 80% of your improvements should come from aerobic training, aerobic running. In other words, training which you don't need anaerobic metabolism at all. And today, I want to explain why aerobic metabolism is much more efficient than anaerobic metabolism. First of all, what is metabolism? What is metabolism? Metabolism is chemical actions in our body to produce energy for living. When we are running, we are still alive, right? When we are running, we are not dead. So, even when we are running, we need to produce energy for living. And even right now, I need to produce energy for living. For example, for keeping my temperature, or for keep talking, for keep pumping my heart muscle, or no, for keeping pumping my heart and to keep breathing. Also, what else I am doing now? Maybe I sweat a little bit to keep my body temperature. And also, you guys might see I am standing right now. I'm not lying on a bed, meaning it requires some energy. It's not a lot, but it requires some energy. So whatever we do, we need to produce energy for living. And if we cannot do it, we die immediately. So in other words, dying meaning we cannot produce energy for living anymore. That's death. So metabolism is chemical actions in our body, inside of our bodies, to produce energy for living, whether we run or not. And roughly speaking, there are two types of metabolism. Of course, one is aerobic metabolism and one is anaerobic metabolism. And if we want to compare aerobic metabolism and anaerobic metabolism, then it's easy to compare aerobic glycolysis and anaerobic glycolysis, because the materials we use with aerobic metabolism and anaerobic metabolism is almost same. For example, aerobic lipolysis and anaerobic glycolysis is very different, so we cannot compare them easily. However, on the other hand, aerobic glycolysis and anaerobic glycolysis is only one difference. There's only one difference between aerobic glycolysis and anaerobic glycolysis. The difference is if we use oxygen or not. Here's a chemical equation. This is glycogen molecule. So this is, of course, oxygen molecule. So this is aerobic glycolysis, and this is anaerobic glycolysis. The only difference is whether we use oxygen molecule or not. And we can produce 2 adenosine triphosphate from 1 glycogen molecule. Adenosine triphosphate is biological energy for living, for speaking, for running, for walking, for what? For playing baseball, for playing basketball, for swimming. Whatever we do, we need to produce energy again, right? And the biological energy is adenosine triphosphate. So this is biological energy for living, for doing everything we want to do in this real world, not in the heaven or not in the hell. Anyway, so 1 glycogen molecule becomes 2 adenosine triphosphate plus 2 lactic acid molecule. This is anaerobic glycolysis. And on the other hand, with aerobic glycolysis, we can produce 36 adenosine triphosphate plus 6, wait a second. First of all, 6 CO2 plus 6 H2O. So this is carbon dioxide and this is water. I don't know how it's pronounced in your country. Water in the UK and water in the USA. I'm not sure about it, but let me pronounce water. Anyway, so with aerobic metabolism, aerobic glycolysis, we can produce 36 adenosine triphosphate and 6 carbon dioxide and 6 water or H2O molecules. The most important thing, so first important thing is we can produce 18 times more energy by using aerobic glycolysis. So aerobic glycolysis is much more efficient than anaerobic glycolysis because we can produce 18 times more biological energy for running by using aerobic glycolysis. This is the first important thing. And the second important thing is here, 2 lactic molecules, and these 2 lactic molecules becomes or produces 2 hydrogen ion plus 2 lactic ion. Again, I'm not sure about my pronunciation. Ions or ions, I'm not sure. So ions or ions. 2 hydrogen ions plus 2 lactic ions. And the biggest problem is this guy, hydrogen ion. Hydrogen ions decreases pH, meaning I think in English potential hydrogen, right? I'm not sure in English, but I'm sure in German this is potent hydrogen. Potent hydrogen. Potent hydrogen meaning how much hydrogen ions in there. For example, I think you guys did a litmus paper test in your elementary school, or I'm not sure, in junior high school or in high school. I don't know much about education system in your country. By the way, first of all, I don't know from which country you are watching this video now, so of course I'm not sure about your public education in your country. But anyway, in Japan, in elementary school, all the students did a litmus paper test. One liquid drops to a litmus paper, and if a litmus paper turns into red, that liquid has hydrogen ions. On the other hand, if a liquid drops to a litmus paper and the color of litmus paper turns into blue, that means that liquid is basic or alkaline. This is a litmus paper test. And every life on this planet has the optimal temperature and optimal pH. Meaning, for example, we Japanese works best. Metabolism. Metabolism in Japanese people works best when the temperature is 36 degrees. And as far as I know, the metabolism of German people works the best when their temperature is approximately 37 degrees. This is the optimal temperature. All of us might know when we are running in the heat condition in the summer, we run slower, right? Especially in the long distance. The longer the distance is, the slower we get in the heat condition. For example, now I'm living in Kyoto, in Japan. In the summer, for example, in the July and August, the minimum temperature is approximately 30 degrees. So let's say 5:30 a.m. it's 30 degrees. And 2 p.m. the temperature reaches 40 degrees sometimes. Basically 37, 38, 39, something like that. So in the summer, I run at least 5 seconds per kilometer slower, naturally. Not on my intention, but naturally it gets 5 seconds per kilometer slower. And sometimes 10 seconds per kilometer slower. So for example, if I run a half marathon in the summer, in August for example, then I'm able to run 90 seconds slower, approximately 19 seconds slower than normal time. Or worst case, I run approximately 3 minutes slower than my half marathon time in the winter. So in the heat condition, we all know we are able to run much slower naturally. And this is because of in the summer, in heat condition, the more we run, the higher our body temperature gets. That meaning the further the body temperature is from the optimal temperature. So our metabolism works the best when the temperature is optimal temperature. And the further our body temperature is from the optimal temperature, the slower our metabolism works. Or the more the metabolism is inhibited. So that's why if it's too cold or if it's too hot, we die, right? The reason is because very simply, because we cannot produce biological energy anymore. That's the reason why we die if it's too cold and too hot. The same thing happens if our body pH is far from the optimal pH. And the more hydrogen ions we get, the further our body pH is from the optimal pH. That's the reason we are forced to slow down if we start out too fast. For example, let's say 5,000 meter race pace, and my current ability is 5,000 meter 20 minutes, for example, meaning the even pace is 4 minutes per kilometer pace. But if I make the first 1 kilometer 3:45, then I'm 100% sure from 2,000 meter I'm forced to slow down dramatically. Maybe, I don't know, from 3,000 meter to 4,000 meter, probably around 4:15 or something like that, because of too much hydrogen ions in my body. And the reason why my body has too much hydrogen ions is because my body used too much anaerobic metabolism in the first 2K. That's the reason. So, from this point of view, anaerobic metabolism is also much more inefficient than aerobic metabolism. I think that's it. So, on the other hand, no matter how much aerobic glycolysis we use, the only materials our body produces is carbon dioxide and water. So it's no problem at all. If we exhale, then carbon dioxide goes outside from our body, and also maybe we sweat, or usually we exhale, then the air has a little bit water. I think you guys might already know, because when we wear mask, then the longer you use your mask, then the more or wetter your mask gets. The reason is our breathing has some H2O because of aerobic glycolysis and also aerobic metabolism general. I mean, this is aerobic glycolysis, and also aerobic lipolysis produces some H2O, some water. That's why our breathing has a little bit water. So let me summarize it now. The reason why aerobic metabolism is much more efficient than anaerobic metabolism is, first, we can produce 18 times more biological energy from same one glycogen molecule. And the second, anaerobic metabolism produces hydrogen ions. And once our body has too many hydrogen ions, we are forced to slow down because our metabolism is inhibited by too much hydrogen ions. In other words, too high potential hydrogen. So that's the reason why we are forced to slow down if we start out too fast in the first half of the race or in training. So again, the second reason is by using anaerobic glycolysis, we are forced to, or simply anaerobic glycolysis produces hydrogen. This is the second reason why aerobic metabolism is much more efficient than anaerobic metabolism. On the other hand, aerobic glycolysis produces only clean energy. I can say, produces only, I don't know, I can call them good materials or good guys, but at least these guys are neutral. These guys do not do anything good or bad. So these guys are completely neutral, so harmless. Aerobic glycolysis is complete. So that's it, folks. Lastly, if you want to learn more about how to run faster, then please click the link below to download my free ebook, 3 things you need to know to run faster dramatically without any overtraining and injuries. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.
我は嵐し我が敵は我が身に潜む臆病像これに打ち勝つ我が筒は心に秘めたる国旗心国旗の心を持つ者はなどて恐るることやある鬼人に恥じぬ勇持ちて我らはいかん心して立つ時こそは今なるぞ人に遅れて恥かくないざすら音なるまでは走れや走れ者ともに滴る汗を光らせてなどてたゆとことやある く決戦に鉄より固き心持つ修繕この方すかれたる大和のこの今さらにまた世に泉の誉れ荒獅子ここに集いたり叩き心のいい鉄に荒獅子魂あるものの時こそ来たれ霊か一歩も後に引く流れいざまずら音なるまでは走れや走れもろともに滴る汗を光らせて名の手だゆのことやる前を望めば苦難なり右も左もまた苦難み空の月を見上げては七難八苦を望むのも我らが力試すため常に前へと意地を見せん闘魂もゆる荒獅子の気をここに今見ようや人生意気に感じては聖碑を誰かあげつらういざまずら音なるまでは走れや走れもろともに滴る汗を光らせて名どてたゆとこ